I've heard people say that Spencer Lee has become a less dominant force at 125 pounds. Do you think you can make a video about this? So, yeah, H-Man the Sixth. This is an interesting question. One I've heard a couple of people talk about. Now, before you get mad at Iowa fans, I'm going to go into the statistics all about last year's Spencer Lee versus this year's Spencer Lee. And is he, doing as well? And you may be a bit surprised by what you find out. So let's get into this. So, last year, Spencer Lee started wrestling in December of 2017. He was pulled out. He wrestled in the UNI Open, and he wrestled for the first time at TASH in January of 2018 against Michigan State. Michigan State versus Iowa duel. He won the match, and he became a force to reckon with at the national tournament. Of course, he won a national title in 2018. He's in the hunt again this year, but is he as dominant? So let's get into these stats. So right now, Spencer Lee's record is 14-1. Last year, his overall record, only wrestling, he didn't wrestle the full year. He had a couple months. He didn't wrestle in November, December, but his full record was 22-2. Now, what's interesting, so his record 14-1 now. Up to this point in the season, his record last year was 11-1. So he has a couple more wins. Of course, he had wrestled a couple more matches here and there, but 11-1. So right now, we're pretty on key. As far as decisions go, last year he had 4 decisions, but 2 up to this point. And right now, in this season, he has 2 up to this point. As far as major decisions, last year he had 0 up till February. He had 1 by the end of the year, and he has 2 so far this season. Tech Falls, just going right down this list, majors, decisions, majors, Tech Falls, he had 8 total and 5 up to February. Right now, he has 6. And as far as pins goes, he had 9 and 4 up until February. And right now, with the massive pin that he got this past weekend, he has 4 pins. So his stats are actually just a bit better as far as dominance goes. He has as many pins as he did last year. He has 1 more tech fall up to this point. Major decisions, he has more major decisions. He has the same amount of decisions. So really, is he less dominant? No. Has he wrestled this tough competition? Arguable. But right now, last year, his big wins of the season were against Sean Russell, number 10, Piccinini, who's number 8, NATO, Lezak, and Rivera, who he actually beat last year. He lost to, notably, Bresser and NATO. This year, in NATO, of course, he beat as well, but he lost to him. And then this year, his wins are notable wins against Sean Russell and Patrick Glory. Of course, this season he lost to Sebastian Rivera. We'll see him get revenge. So, really where this stems from, H-Man, where this stems from is that people are wondering if because of Rivera, because of Lee's previous matches against Rivera, if Lee is less dominant. Because as I have here, just where these guys were last year. So last year he beat Rivera twice. Lee beat Rivera 7-4, and then he beat him 12-0. So he had a decision and a major. He beat him pretty handedly, and people are wondering, this year he lost to Rivera. So is he less dominant? Well, what I could say is, didn't Rivera just get better? Could Rivera have trained more? Could he have trained more so that he could beat Spencer Lee, so he could get that national championship? And I say, yeah, he absolutely could have done that. And I don't think it's any less dominance in Lee. Does that mean Lee trained less? No. Lee's probably training just as hard, if not harder, than he did last year, because he wants to be a 4-timer. He wants to be a 4-time national champ, and it could very well happen. I don't believe that Lee is less dominant than he was. Now, what's interesting is after Spencer Lee wrestled at Midlands, he was interviewed, and this is what he said. He said, "Some people don't know what you're going through, and you just have to fight through it." So this is a little bit telling as far as, what if Spencer Lee's battling something, whether it's an injury, a sickness? We saw Spencer Lee battle sickness in his senior year of high school, or not injury rather, up until the national finals. He had a torn ACL for most of the season, and he ended up wrestling DeSanto. DeSanto, who's now his teammate, actually handed Spencer Lee his first and only college loss in the PIAA state finals. So Lee was battling an injury there. Another notable wrestler who was battling an injury this past year in 2018 was Yanni, who he came out after nationals. He had a torn ACL, and he wrestled and won a national championship. So, is that the best thing to do? Maybe, maybe not. But these guys, they're in it to win gold, and that's completely understandable. Spencer Lee, I don't believe he's less dominant, and from the stats that I kind of read off, he's not less dominant. He's actually just on pace, if not a little bit more dominant this season. So to everybody saying that he's less dominant, check the stats. He's a great wrestler. Spencer Lee, I believe, is out to win another national title. Honestly, he's my pick to win a national title, and I think he'll do really well come March.